there is a topic that really Pope Benedict in his encyclical discusses thoroughly, and is the transformation of Christian faith and hope in the modern age. So that begins with all the beginning of scientific progress and incredible results, slightly 15th, 16th century, but then 17th, 18th, 19th, so. And also that goes to the realm of philosophy, and then thinkers begin to think a world without God, materialism, all that. So then you have first, philosophy goes far from God, and philosophy is not just some crazy people that think pure things in their minds. No, really, they shape what is our life. I was surprised sometimes when I saw a commercial and I was saying, wow, this is Nietzsche. Literally, this is Nietzsche. And we see how Marxism today really is like evil. It's so sneaky and can mutate like the virus so easily that can infect the whole world. Now with different forms, etc., but the matrix, the thinking, is why our society is so divided. Because Marxism has entered, because Marxism is about fighting against those who are divided. I divide and then they confront them. So, and for example, in the pandemic, we saw how science was called upon so many times. And then what is scientific, that is supposed to be well proven and well established, it happens that today science says that no masks then, because we don't have. Then 2 months later, oh yeah, we have to use masks because we have. And the vaccines and all that. And okay, so what is our response as Catholics to this? Where really we put our hope and our faith, because it can happen that we progress and how technology moves forward, and we have new devices and new possibilities and all that. That's undeniable. We can't deny that. That's true. But then we can think that, okay, so then we just focus on the salvation of the soul, and we live our lives, our world, the education of our children, to the science and this philosophy that we have today. And that will be a great mistake. Actually, you don't want that. You even take the education of your children on your own, because you don't want that they are where many children are today in our society, unfortunately. So I give you this handout always so you can read a little Pope Benedict himself, or today I copied only Pope Benedict because it's a long text that can help you to reflect, bring this home, discuss it at home, use this to guide you in your prayer. At the end I put a couple of questions so that can also lead your reflection, but prayer and the time that I give you after talking, it's not a long time, but you can go to the Adoration Chapel, you can go to a place in the garden on your own, or with your husband or wife, and talk about this together, is to help, to illumine you, to give some insight of what Pope Benedict told us about our hope. So this year that Father Alvaro proposed that theme of anchored in hope, anchored in Christ, our families will be more and more anchored in the true hope. And then when we have hope, then it's a lot of, we have a future. We know where we are going. If not, we are just consumers that we are following what for example, the commercials tell us. No? Okay, so then let's go to what Pope Benedict tells us about the true shape of Christian hope. He analyzes all this transformation of the Christian hope in the numbers, I think it's 16 to 23, and then on the 24, he speaks, okay, after all this and see these challenges to the Christian hope, what is the true shape of Christian hope? And the first thing that he says is something that I've heard him, and this was live, because it was in the Encounter with the Families in Valencia, in Spain in 2000, I think 2006 or 2007. So there he spoke how in the passing on the faith from generation to generation, it happens that, yes, we have received, we have been taught in our home from our parents, our faith, what should we believe, what should be the values to inspire our lives, what is the language we should speak. No? So why Spanish is my native language? Because my parents spoke Spanish. And the values of my family and the faith of my family and the way to do the things in my family. That was what yesterday I had an interesting conversation with, I was with a parishioner, old-time parishioner, and her son having dinner. So after dinner he began to ask me a lot of things, and one of the things he asked me, okay, let's say that you didn't have your school, that your family would be not so religious, that would you have ended being a priest? And then I said, I'm sorry, if you remove all that, you take away my identity, who I am. If I don't have my family that is so religious, if I don't have my school, if I don't have my faith, if I don't have my parish, I am no more. No? So, but why I am no more? Because what has been given to me, at a certain point, I have made it mine. And I have identified myself with what I received. And certainly, I remember in my own life, during my teen years, when, and also it was a unfortunate situation because was when after dying Franco, all the society began to be very liberal, and the first thing when a society begins to be too liberal is immorality and nudity all around. No, so then in my teens, I see that and they say, okay, what do I choose? What do I take? Who do I trust? And in that decision was the way I just took on my own what I have been given. So what you are giving to your children, automatically they are not going to embrace it. And that will happen during their teens, in which they begin to discover their own interiority, their own I, and their own freedom. And then they can do decisions and choices in their lives. No, and that is a challenging time because I need good reasons too, because my life depends on how do I place myself between all the things that I have in front of me. No? So then applied to the faith and the progress, he makes a very good remark. Scientific progress, knowledge kinds of accumulates. So let's say the phone version 10 builds on phone version 8, 6, and version 0, no? So then the next is gonna be, we know, 11, then 12, then 13, so and so on. So we accumulate progress. Now, the TVs that we had in the very beginning, when you were children at home, have nothing to do with the TVs that you had when you married and the TVs that you have now. And the TVs will evolve, and technology will be more complex and all that, no? It's the same thing with knowledge. Now we go to the library or to internet, better to the library, and we see how we know more and more things about this. Now we have the all the knowledge of the genes of the humanity. So what is the genetical code and all that? We know that. So we accumulate, but in our freedom, in our humanity, in the goodness of our lives, in good and truth and beauty that we should pursue because our heart is made for that, because it's made for God. That is not something that you accumulate. Every human person begins a personal journey. So your child does not build on your knowledge. He will need to learn all those things. And he will need to embrace what you teach him. No? So now he's happy there with his books and in his father's lap. It's a wonderful place to be for a child, no doubt. Okay? So, but he will need to do his own decisions. So that happens also with human society. Every generation has to embrace all that treasure of knowledge, of goodness, of humanity that we have inherited. And then we are so focused and we put so much our ourselves in the progress of science and technology that we can forget that we need to grow in humanity. And many times we have seen how that is so real as, for example, technical progress can lead to destruction, wars, is a good example. Atomic energy is a great example. We can make a huge destruction and even destroy a place for decades, or because of the radioactivity and all that, or we can light cities and make energy cheap, and then be sufficient in energy, so we don't depend on the gas to pay more or less for the facility, the utilities bills, no? So we can see how we can use progress, and St. John Paul II also was very good with me, saying that it's not about what we have, it's who we are, no? And that we really need to make those moral decisions that determine who we are, who we become, and not just say that because of the progress goes forward, then we also progress with our science as human persons. It's not that. And now you know that there is also that thinking of transhumanism, that we want to recreate the human person or the human being according to our scientific possibilities and technology. And it's not that way. At the end, it's denying that because we don't want to have a creator and we really don't accept who we are as a gift from God. And all the gender and trans ideology are behind this, are based on this very simple statement. God is not someone good who has created us good. So we can challenge what God has given us. So God created me, a man, and then my masculinity is a gift from God. And then I embrace it as a gift of God included, and then that allows me to build my life. If not, what happens is that I am condemned to hell right now, because I'm in a body that is not my body. However, I cannot be but my body. And this is why what is so terrible for them. Okay, so every generation has to embrace their own values, make real their own freedom. Then after that, Pope Benedict says, okay, so what are the conclusions of this? First, the right state of human affairs, the moral well-being of the world can never be guaranteed simply through structures alone, however good they are. Not they seem, they are, they really are, okay. Such structures are not only important but necessary, yet they cannot and must not marginalize human freedom. So freedom requires conviction. Conviction does not exist on its own, but must always be gained anew by the community, by every single individual and also by the community. Second, since man always remains free, and since his freedom is always fragile, the kingdom of God will never be definitely established in this world. Freedom must constantly be won over for the cause of good. Free assent to the good never exists simply by itself. And you know, because of your children. So it's not that he's evil, but he's just fooling around and messing as much as he can. He's exploring the room and making them. So you need to teach your children. It's wonderful. I like that he's comfortable here, no? So, well, 25. What this means is that every generation has the task of engaging anew in the arduous search for the right way to order human affairs. And human affairs are not just technological, scientific affairs. There is more there. These are humanity. It's my humanity. Who am I as a person? And what defines me is that I'm made in the image and likeness. I'm created in the image and likeness of God. And I have been given freedom so that I can choose to do what is good, what is truth, and become myself truth and good. And therefore share in the goodness and truth of God. And that is the way I grow as a person, in my image and likeness of God. Good structures help, but of themselves, they are not enough. So then, we move to number 26, when Pope Benedict repeats, this is an extract of the encyclical, it's not the whole numbers. I can have tons of things not to make it too long. It is not science that redeems man. Man is redeemed by love. Now, certainly love is not just a feeling, because we are not redeemed by feelings, because we don't even control our own feelings. So one day I wake up down. So I'll try to do my best not to be very cranky, but my feelings are not those. I don't go to the feelings store in the morning. Okay, I'm gonna be today this. Get ready, family. No, not that way. So, what is that love that redeems man? Because also we have the experience of the fragility of love. We ourselves are fragile. And many times, even loving, we can hurt those we love. And many times it happens just not with intention. I don't intend to hurt those I love. This conversation comes often. You can imagine where. Now people that are really suffering because, well, my husband is doing my life miserable, and he's doing this and this, and the children, or the husband and my wife is doing this and this and this. And then usually I tell, okay, why does this person hurt you? And hurt his own children or her own children? And this is what I think. When I am suffering inside, when I have suffering inside, I can't help but kind of sprinkle a little those around me with that suffering that I have. And certainly those who are closest to me. So it's not that I intend ill against them. It's that I can't help but that suffering that is in my heart affect those who are closer to me. So we realize that fragility of our love. And this is why, well, this applies even in the terms of the present world. When someone has the experience of a great love in his life, this is a moment of redemption, which gives a new meaning to his life. And that even happens at the level of human love. When you fell in love with each other, couples, your life got a new dimension, a new horizon. It's a moment of redemption in which you feel that you can go beyond all your limitations and all your failures and all your things. Because love makes us, kind of brings us out of ourselves and puts us kind of in that state of what Pope Benedict, in his encyclical about God is love, says about the experience of falling in love and how that erotic dimension brings up almost to the divine. So we feel so empowered to do things because of the love that we feel. Huh? So even in a human level, it's a moment of redemption when we find this great love. But soon, someone, will also realize that the love bestowed upon him cannot by itself resolve the question of his life. It is a love that remains fragile. It can be destroyed by death. The human being needs unconditional love. And this unconditional love is only given by God. And it's not something that we hope that will happen, or we think that will happen, or it would be beautiful that it happened. It already happened, because the Son of God became man, died for us, redeemed us, and gave his life on the cross out of love for us. There is no greater love than to lay down your life for your friends. So, and also, not only that, Jesus has already risen for us as a guarantee, as an assurance of our own resurrection. So, all these Sundays we have been reading the 15th chapter of 1 Corinthians about the resurrection. So, our horizon is resurrection. So good news, you will be in heaven together not only as souls, but also with your whole humanity, with your bodies. Risen, glorious bodies. So it's not that I will not need to worry about the scale in the morning after. No, no. The heavenly banquet is not fast. You don't get, and you don't lose your hair. And so our glorious bodies, that's our horizon. No? So then we understand that only God can give us, and can assure us that great hope. So, yes, I understand when you have a difficulty to think about resurrection, because hey, so my body is going to be glorious. It's already glorious. I'm going to be created that I am today. It's impossible. Well, there is the power of God that will make that possible, no? Okay, so points for reflection. And also the family project that I suggest for you to work with your children goes in the same direction, two directions. First, about technology, second, about conquering your own freedom. So reflection, how do we relate with technology as adults and as a family? Well, that you have a good conversation there now. If you want to be more philosophical and kind of fix the world, then you can ask yourself what should be the role, the is should have been removed. This is doing the things at the last minute. This is what happens. So what should be the role of technology in education in kinder, elementary, middle, high school, and college? Because it's different the moment of the child in kindergarten and college. So, so that is a portion about technology. And then in the family project, we apply this to technology during Lent. How can we fast with technology? No? Okay. Quick summary. What is your practice with the cell phones during dinner or during a family meal? But what does it mean? They live in their rooms, they are in the pockets, what do you do?
They don't have cell phones.
Ah, they don't have.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah, they have.
Their kids don't. Yeah, our kids don't have it.
That's perfect. Eh? Well, there will be a time when they are in college and you want them to have a phone to know where they are.
Oh, yeah.
With the app, no? So when they are at home, well, maybe they know that when they are at home, like, they
We
just leave
have,
the
the
phone
way
there.
we do it is we have one cell phone for all of the children that if they need it, they
Well,
take it with them.
John Paul's driving.
Cause he's driving and we've disabled a zillion things in it.
Mhm.
And so at the very, like,
And what is your?
so it's not that they don't, like, there is
But they
some phone,
leave it on the
but the
counter.
lack of exclusivity that we learned with our nieces and nephews was because nobody, it was not, and it was a communal phone. There was, it ended up acting as a control because they wouldn't send or receive texts that they wouldn't want other kids to see, right? Cause it wasn't their phone. And that helped. We didn't actually do that because we were smart, and we did it because we were cheap. And then we learned that it was smart, and we said, that's what we're gonna do.
Exactly. The smart is not this device.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah.
My personal phone, I give Kaiser Club when they need it, because I have a business phone that I use, so they don't do anything on my personal
Yeah.
phone.
Okay? So you have a starting point for your discussion. Very good. Second, how does each person and each generation conquer its freedom and finds its hope? No? And then I copy a sentence from the last paragraph. What does it mean that life is in its totality a relationship with Him who is the source of life and with each other? No? So, and again, in this I will forward you to, or refer you to that, the transmission of faith in the family of Pope Benedict. I think it's the homily, maybe the homily, yes. So that would be July the 9th or the 10th of 2006 maybe. That's very good, no? And explains very well how each person has to make his own, that treasure of tradition and values and faith that is lived in the family and passed on them. So, as family project, discuss with your children how they should conquer their own freedom. And certainly bringing up obedience as a way to conquer that freedom is good, because obedience kind of shows us or helps us to focus on what is really good for me now. And if I do that, maybe that's not the best thing. By obeying, I prepare my freedom and I exercise my freedom to choose to do what I know that is good, not what I would like to do. No? So, for example, to help me not to be addicted to the video games. No, so I'm on my tablet, tiki 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 tiki. Hey, time to set the table. Turn it off and go to set the table. Then I'm not a slave of the screen. Well, really, I am. Now that I think I am, okay. So that's it. Yeah? Thank you so much. And then you have now 15 minutes and to pray, to discuss as a family, etc. And then come back to take your children to Mass. Thank you.